The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Big Ben Haslar presiding. Your eyes for the Honorable Judge Haslar. Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we're in the case of The People versus Identity, a 2003 thriller about a group of strangers that mysteriously find themselves in a motel on a stormy night and are horrified to learn that there is a murderer in their midst. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond the shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Maynard Bangs, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, I was browsing the aisle of a movie gallery around the year 2003. Our town wasn't nice enough for a Blockbuster. When I overheard a customer ask the counter person loudly, "Hey, do you have that new John Cusack movie where every character is one of his split personalities and they all get killed one by one?" So,
good thing Ryan wasn't there.
To this very rude movie gallery patron who boldly broke the unspoken rule of movie ruining, there has never been a time when I didn't know the ending of this movie. And I pass that blessing now on to our listeners, in case you didn't already know. Although, at least we give you a spoiler warning at the top. But I figured I would open the proceedings by just putting the chips on the table. Every character in this movie is an alternate personality of a single individual. That aspect is probably what will dominate most of our discussion, since there really isn't a lot of meat on the bone prior to this reveal. It's a pretty paint-by-numbers, Agatha Christie-style mystery thriller for the first two acts. Clearly hangs its hat completely on what it holds to be a very clever twist in the third. But I am here to argue that this twist gets less clever the more you think about it, which is what I am, by God, here to make us do. Because after all, the chief premise in this film is essentially the deliberately cliched screenplay idea used in Spike Jonze's 2002 film adaptation as a throwaway joke. And to quote the character Charlie Kaufman from that very film, "The only idea more overused than serial killers is multiple personality." I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bangs. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Ms. Kandice Martellaro. Please present your opening statement.
I am here to defend the integrity of the 2003 classic movie Identity. I argue that this movie is not bad. It is, however, unfairly forgotten.
Oh.
This movie did something that I will prove here today that should be upheld in movies currently, in that the twist ending is in fact not a twist, but something we're supposed to catch on to before it happens, and something that we're supposed to feel the payoff of as it unfolds. That's it. My opening remarks are pretty plain and simple.
Hey, that's all you need. Mr. Maynard, please present your first exhibit.
Well, Your Honor, I started by giving away the twist to this movie, but I guess I'll really kick it off by giving away the other twist in this movie. And that is, not only are all the characters the same person, but the killer is ultimately revealed in a final shocking twist, the last few moments of the movie, to be a 9-year-old boy. Now, we all know that Timmy couldn't actually do any of these murders because he is 9 years old. And that is kind of what makes the movie a bit of a cheat. Now, some of the kills, they're elaborate accidents. Okay, maybe Timmy could get his mom to step in front of a car, even though she would have seen those headlights coming from a mile away on a dark and empty highway. Sure, maybe she could lead his stepdad out to get hit by a truck, although he'd have absolutely no way of orchestrating that situation. But the rest of the kills are physically brutal, impossible for a 9-year-old to commit. And they're that brutal at the point that they are because the movie wants to lead you to believe the killer is probably Jake Busey or one of the other big physically imposing fellas in this movie. But instead, it's using that as a misdirect. But when you think about it at the end, how could Timmy have killed several of these people in the beginning? I mean, granted, the actress is kneeling down, but her head is clean lobbed off. Even a large man with an axe would have a hard time getting through that spinal column. And Timmy's maybe got that knife that we see still. No way he's hacking through that. Plus, the dryer he puts her head in, that's coin operated. Where'd he get those quarters from? He's 9. How can he kill Jake Busey? Even tied down, Busey can still resist with most of his torso. He's conscious. And we're supposed to believe that Timmy has forced a baseball bat wide point first down his throat. Now, if he had put it skinny point first, maybe he still would have had to drag a chair over to get any kind of leverage to go from up down through his throat. You would have to. Was he going to pull over a stool? I've got no idea how he's going to do it. And then Lou. Let's talk about Lou, Easy-Anna. Lou sees him coming. He's at a bathroom door. He turns, and the movie shows us this in a flashback, that Timmy at the door wields the knife and reveals it to him. Now, this is not child's play, all right? This 9-year-old boy's not getting anywhere near Lou with this knife if Lou sees him coming. And instead, you have me believe that this full adult man, Lou, is going to bang on a bathroom door for help with a 9-year-old coming in? Kick him in the face. He's 9 years old.
Miss Martellaro, do we need to bring the Mythbusters in to look at this second twist we have going on here?
I am more than prepared for this.
Ooh.
The reason the second twist works so effectively, and I would argue that the over-the-top elements that would be physically impossible work within the framework of this movie, is simply because we know all of this is happening in this man's head. It doesn't have to make logical sense. It is on the plane of whatever the serial killer is thinking. Now, granted, I understand what you're saying in terms of until we know, well, if you didn't get ahead of it, which I still argue that the movie sets up on purpose. If you didn't know that all of this is happening in this man's head, then yes, it is feasibly impossible. But once we find out that it is, in fact, the kid that is a serial killer, we also know that this has all happened in his head. Therefore, everything does make logical sense.
Mr. Maynard, it was all a dream defense gambit. Do you have a response?
I do, because it's not the world that we see in this film. These characters do not know that they are figments of a man's imagination, and therefore they subject themselves to the laws of reality, because that reality is what allows them to keep their grasp of sanity. They have to believe that they really exist. If we want to make the case that, Timmy is not subject to the laws of the universe because he's a figment, well, then neither is Lou or the actress or anyone who's killed. Any of them could just teleport away, or walk through walls, or come back from the dead if this is all just not real. But that's not what the universe shows us. Their little inner world is very real to them. It exists to them. It's the only world they know. And that's in fact how they get trapped in this scenario themselves. Their persistence on believing the world is what they see is how they get them trapped at the hotel. That's why they get stuck by washed out roads. They get stuck in the rain. They believe that the physical limitations of the world apply to them, and that's what gets them trapped. We also see at the end when John Cusack is fatally wounded, he dies because he believes his injuries to be real enough for the death of his personality. Even then, he knows he's a figment of his imagination, but he still dies to his injuries because it is still real enough to him. Also, if Timmy's breaking laws like that, then he must know he's not real. And that we're not shown anything that makes me believe Timmy knows he's a figment.
Hey, they're saving that for the sequel. I would like to hear one more rebuttal from the defense.
The entire world is in Malcolm Rivers' head. John Cusack is Malcolm Rivers. Amanda Peet is Malcolm Rivers. They're all Malcolm Rivers. The reality to them is real to them as he is constructed in the subconscious of his brain. Therefore, John Cusack's reality and Timmy's don't have to match. When Malcolm Rivers is Timmy, he may believe one thing. When he's John Cusack, he believes another. Just as their morals are different, the integrity of this world bends and changes per person.
All right. Mr. Maynard?
Well, I think that some of this bending integrity is an easy out used by the writer to make this mystery sort of go on. Another cheat that I think they do is that the bodies only start disappearing about halfway through the movie. And that's because if the bodies were disappearing immediately, right, we wouldn't even know there were murders. We might have just assumed the actress left, called some other car and somehow got away. They need to keep the bodies corporeal and laying everywhere so that the characters all kind of believe there's something going on. But also in another way, it's to trick you, the audience. They can't give it away that they're all going to start disappearing immediately, or you're going to know something's up and you're not going to get invested in these little murder mysteries. But when do the bodies start disappearing? Magically at the appropriate time, right when Timmy plans his disappearing act. Now, if the bodies weren't going to disappear, what was Timmy's plan to get away? Because they would have found Ginny's body. They would have not found Timmy, and it would have aroused quite a lot of suspicion. Timmy can't control that these bodies are going to start disappearing when they do. He just walks away. So to me, it's just an awful convenient way for the writers to lead the audience away from the real facts without arousing suspicion, but then conveniently give an out for why Timmy's gone and lead us to not suspect for him to come back anytime earlier.
Miss Martellaro?
Okay, so I will admit I've been a bad lawyer and I should have added a little bit more to my opening statement, but I'm going to add it now.
Hey, fix it now.
It's never too late.
I'll say here and now, the point I'm making about the fact that the audience is supposed to get ahead of the movie, in my opinion. And if they don't, great twist for them. But I think the movie deliberately sets us up to think that we're supposed to get ahead of it. This will tie in to why the bodies disappear in just a second. The fact that we're introduced to Malcolm Rivers, it's the very first thing that happens in the movie. We're introduced to him. We're introduced to the fact that he is supposed to be facing the death penalty tomorrow. He's having an emergency hearing where he may not be mentally fit to stand trial. That's all presented to us very first thing. Then we don't see a thing about Malcolm Rivers. It just immediately goes to this hotel and we start meeting these characters. That's pretty brazen. I mean, we're not supposed to know what's going on just yet. But then Ray Liotta's character shows up 10 minutes into the introduction of this character. It's revealed that he is wearing a shirt with a stab wound in the back of the shirt, which is supposed to make us, the audience, aware this guy's either killed somebody or it's a supernatural thing, which is not what this movie is. I mean, maybe it could be, but it's not. I mean, in a way, maybe, but it's not. We're supposed to be figuring out in real time of like, oh, he's not a cop, which is also supposed to be a twist, but it's not because they told us. Then 54 minutes into the movie, we're brought back to Malcolm again. And once again, they're bringing it back to this guy that we have not talked about at all to see if he's fit to stand trial. To me, or I shouldn't say that, to the audience, this is very deliberate breadcrumbing of giving us hints of, hey, this is the twist that's coming. I think we're supposed to get ahead of it. And with that, the bodies really start disappearing at the point where the twist is becoming more and more apparently obvious. It's a clue for us, the audience, to put together what's about to happen. And that's the end of my rebuttal.
And I would say that I don't think that the clues and breadcrumbs are there enough, right? We know that the killer, like we said, should have been big enough to physically do those murders, and Timmy couldn't been. So if it's like, well, he's a magical figment, again, they kind of all are. But, you'd never expect a 9-year-old to be able to make a car rig and explode. They never explain why he's never covered in blood throughout the movie. They never explain, does he hitchhike all the way to Florida? How does he get there?
It's all those violent video games that inspired him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but to me, the fun of this kind of film, and I think it sets up a whodunit kind of aspect. Figure out which one is the killer. We'll give you the things. But it's a little bit like playing Guess Who with a young kid who isn't going to be honest with you. And you go, hey, does the killer have glasses? And they say no. Well, click, 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 click. Oh, well, the killer does have glasses, but they have sunglasses, so they're different. No, I said glasses, and that includes sunglasses, you bastard.
This isn't your therapy session, Mr. Bangs.
Glasses right in the name. So just a little bit like the people
My nephew said he was sorry. Let it go.
But a little bit like the people versus urban legend. Come on. We all know that it couldn't have been that woman inside that big coat. That killer was like 6'8". You were not playing fair with us throughout this, and there was absolutely no way that we were going to be able to guess who this was. So don't go acting like you fooled us the whole time when you weren't even sharing the whole truth.
He's got a lot of things he needs to work through over there. Ms. Martellaro, do you have a response?
Well, I mean, it all goes back to my original argument that because of the construct that this is all in Malcolm Rivers' head, I mean, it's kind of just the rules are bendable. You kind of can't argue with that.
You're right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll let the jury decide how bendable the rules are. But you know what's not bendable? Our law. And this movie does makes a big production about this individual's about to be executed. It's the night before their execution. And some suppressed evidence has come up, which has brought upon a new hearing suddenly here in the middle of the night. Now, number one, the suppressed evidence would already be enough for a stay of execution. As soon as they found that notebook and that wasn't introduced as evidence, we would have had a stay of execution. Movie doesn't even have to happen. We're going to have another hearing, not in the middle of the night. We're going to open up a new trial. Malcolm's not getting executed because if they can already show that he's a multiple personality disorder, he already probably can't be put to death. But here's another reason I don't like this as a treatment. One, especially the psychologist Alfred Molina would understand that each one of these personalities is sort of like a living person in their own way, in this own inner world. They feel fear, they feel terror, they're distressed at the idea that they might die. So this entire ordeal is incredibly distressing. And I would say because the patient is under the care of the state and therefore in sort of a punitive position, this is sort of part of a rehabilitation. I would say all this falls under cruel and unusual punishment. This individual is going to have to mentally suffer death about 9 different times, which could even be worse than the one that might happen in real life. So I would think that a psychologist would find this to be a very inappropriate method of rehabilitation. And then I'd also like to suggest that it's also a very ineffective one. You think if you put 10 people in a room together, that the survivor is the least dangerous one? Wouldn't it make common sense that when we bring all 10 of these personalities together, only the killer would be the one left? He'd be the only survivor after killing the other 9, so that the one remaining personality in this guy should be expected to be the killer?
Ms. Martellaro, defend this pseudoscience we have going on here.
Okay. Give me just a second. I'm consulting my... May I approach the bench?
You may.
Please do. We love this.
Okay. I don't have the evidence to back up this claim at this time. Could I call in a witness?
Sure. What do you got in mind?
I don't know. They didn't show up. I don't know where I was going with this.
I was hoping it was going to be an alternate personality of yours.
So was I.
That would have been great if I had prepared. I think this movie.
This is the Deanna Rooney defense. That's true. End the trial and just.
It has worked before. Ben
sorry,
loves to be approached.
Yeah, because it never happens in real life. If your other personality isn't going to come to your defense, I will kindly ask you to step away from the bench, Ms. Martellaro, and we'll proceed with Maynard's last exhibit.
Okay.
All right, I will go on to my final one, but I did just want to mention that, Alfred Molina he's clearly the second worst doctor he's ever played after Octopus, you know? But even that was less of a reach. And by the way, that gate in the van should have been locked. You know, he shouldn't be able to just open that. And why does he need to? He could just talk through it. He's not going to touch him. Anyway, the final thing, and this was a big thing that a lot of the reviews harped on, is that once you know they're all multiple personalities, the stakes are kind of gone. Like, you're now no longer interested really in these people get away and who's going to survive, because ultimately they're all just going to be kind of locked up in Malcolm's crazy head somewhere. And the stakes are so lowered that in the end, once John Cusack realizes he's a figment of some guy's imagination, even he doesn't want to stay alive. He basically just kind of gives up and is like, no, I don't want to live like that, Amanda Pete. You're in ignorant bliss. You can live the rest of your life. But now that I know the truth, life's not even worth living. So if the characters don't even care about their own existence in the movie by the end, why should we? And with that, the prosecution will rest.
Ms. Martellaro, you may present your first exhibit.
All right. My first exhibit is that the cast of this movie is great. This was a role absolutely meant for John C. McGinley. I would consider it probably his top 4. Tough to argue with that. This was a major contribution to the Amanda Peet craze of the early 2000s.
Peek, peek.
Peek Pete. Ray Liotta, this was a time period where his career was starting to struggle a little bit, and this was a great role for him. Our first kill is so gratifying because the actress portrays an asshole really, really well. And I will let the defense rest with those 2 points.
Already?
Oh, wow. Sometimes that's all you need is a great cast. Mr. Maynard, do you have a rebuttal for the cast?
I do like the cast. I can't really shoot the cast down, especially there's some particularly small roles too that are still occupied by great actors. We haven't mentioned the lovely Clea Duvall, who I love. It's one of the reasons I liked this movie when I first saw it, because I love Clea Duvall. And we didn't mention Pruitt Taylor Vince either, who plays Malcolm Withers. Love Pruitt. Shout out to Pruitt. He's a great guy. So the cast is good. I can't really attack the cast. One funny thing though is I believe John Cusack was in Adaptation, wasn't he, Ryan?
Yes.
So he should have known about the split personality joke. He should have been able to tell the filmmakers, "Hey, we did this."
I think he's high as a kite when he films. He may have forgotten, just based on that.
He also probably made a lot of money, which is my next counterpoint. No, I'm just kidding.
Money. All sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Maynard, you may begin.
It was a quick one. You know, Your Honor, individuals who suffer from dissociative identity disorder, we didn't have to get much into the science. I know a good amount about the science now, but we didn't have to get into it. They often have many different personalities. The average is 16, actually, which suggests to me that there may be more alternate personalities of Malcolm Rivers than we get to see in this movie. So I leave you with Maynard Bangs' top 5 alternate personas of Malcolm Rivers that we didn't get to see die in identity in no particular order. Number 1, Miss Alabama, a 23-year-old chiropractor's assistant who lives in mid-state Delaware with her mother. Timmy was able to track her down before the events of the film and hold her head beneath the water while she was taking a bath. Number 2, Mr. Ned Braska. Yeah, that's right, Ned Braska. A retired HVAC engineer. Timmy crushed him flat with a steamroller. He was able to operate the pedals with a broom. Number 3, Mr. Eli Noyes. An e-meter reader for the Church of Scientology. Timmy ripped both his arms off and beat him to death in rhythm with Neil Peart's drum solo in YYZ. Number 4, Sweet Georgia Brown, a whitewater river raft guide living in the Catskills, killed by the venomous spur of a genetically engineered platypus Timmy hid in her sleeping bag. Timmy did the genetic engineering as part of a science fair project.
Damn those platypi.
Dangerous. They live on every planet. Number 5, Mr. Matthew Sachuzitz, a 41-year-old.
That's a stretch.
In the movie, his name is Lou Easiana. So do not tell me I have made a stretch, sir. Mr. Matthew Sachuzitz, a 41-year-old IRS auditor / adrenaline junkie from Pittsburgh. Timmy cut his safety line while they were both scaling the cliff of Mount Kilimanjaro. Timmy then assumed his identity for several years, impersonating him at work and carrying out a torrid love affair with Matt's widow, Beatrice. And with that, Your Honor.
Beatrice, Massachusetts.
Beatrice, Massachusetts. I think I got your interview there, Schlenzo. And with that, prosecution rests.
I think it should be Mr. Matt A. Chusitz. But, that's just me. I do look forward to your sequel of Identities coming out in 2026. Ms. Martellaro, you may present your closing argument.
I would argue, as I said in my opening statement, that this movie does something very clever that many other movies don't do. It allows the audience to get ahead while still presenting them with a series of twists and turns that they don't see coming. 55 minutes in, we learn that the hotel clerk is really just some guy, not affiliated with the hotel at all, and the hotel clerk is dead. It's a good twist within a twist. Ray Liotta, although, as argued, you're supposed to get ahead of that one too, actually not a cop. He's a convicted felon as well. The ultimate final twist of the little boy is just many twists within the twist. This movie, I think, sets a good scale, although, like I said, unfairly forgotten. of how to present a movie where it's okay if the audience gets ahead of it. There's always something coming, a new surprise for them around every turn. And I will let it rest.
Thank you, Ms. Martellaro, and thank you all. Members of the jury, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. As I looked upon the stair, I met Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It's now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict. Right this way? I used to suffer from dissociative identity disorder, but we all feel better now.
Oh,
That's a classic.
it is. Now, I know the judge isn't in here to say this, but to hear me criticize him, he was supposed to say, as I was going up the stairs.
No, the original poem is, yesterday upon the stair, I met a man who wasn't there.
Yeah, but if someone were to directly cut and paste this from the movie, it would have been, as I was going up the stairs. But anyway, the judge isn't here. It's fine. I guess the judge can say whatever he wants. The judge wouldn't have a script. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, up until now, Dylan was uncharacteristically silent, so why don't you go first, Dylan?
No, thank you. And I'd like to say I got a few good guffaws and groans in, and I did point out that the wife's name would be Beatrice, Massachusetts. It's just cracking me up. Okay. Identity is an interesting movie, and, I'm going to just go ahead and do some peeling back of the curtain. I actually watched this movie a lot when it first came out around that time frame with Maynard. Actually, this is a movie that we both watched quite a bit, so a lot of it was fresh in my mind, and I always remember really, really enjoying it because, like Kandice said, the cast is really good. I can't think of a time I see John Cusack in a movie and I groan. Like, he's always good. Like, even that terrible movie Cellular, like, that was
Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah, even Hot Tub Time Machine. There's just something about John Cusack that whenever I see him in a movie, I just like, all right, John Cusack, like, I can latch on to him and enjoy something in this movie. And he was very strong in this. The cast was indeed very, very strong. But the problem then becomes when Maynard starts demanding through his case that you think about how this is working out. And these start becoming pretty glaring. When you're watching the movie and you're along for the ride, it's pretty fun. You enjoy the twist. You like the idea. It is pretty neat. But it is kind of remarkable that a 9-year-old would be able to commit murders in such a fashion. Now, if we want to accept the excuse of that's a dream world, well, then why is he murdering them so elaborately to begin? You see, that's the problem.
Because he's a little psycho. He's a little freak. That's why.
Yeah, but why is he a freak if he understands that he's not real, though? That's the point.
I think he might
I don't think
understand on some level. He might be the one who knows.
I don't think you can. I don't know. It feels so much like you're trying to have it both ways. Like, either Timmy is like a sadistic psycho killer, or he does understand that he has dominion over this world in such a way that gives him preternatural powers to, again, shove an entire baseball bat down a man's throat. I am a huge, strong dude. I do not think I could shove a baseball bat down someone's throat wide ways up.
Know
what I mean? I mean, that would be on
Let's try,
Patreon.
Ryan. Open up.
We'll give it a shot. But again, these are only problems like when you're really stopping and thinking about it, because I do enjoy the movie in and of itself as you're watching it. It's funny, I was watching it with the kids, and they actually did pick up on a lot of the breadcrumbs, right? So they didn't know what the twist was or anything, but my son figured out like pretty early that he thought all the people at the hotel were like in a dream, so he was pretty close, and I think there was enough clues for that. My daughter figured out very early that John Cusack was probably a cop and Ray Liotta wasn't, but again, and actually my daughter predicted that the kid was the murderer pretty early too. So there are definitely some crumbs there, and being able to watch it through the eyes of people who hadn't seen it before, I guess it is effective in that way. But I right now I am just thinking Maynard's case is just too strong, because it doesn't just pick the movie apart. It's not like nitpicking. Like, these are things that the movie laid out for you. Like when he brought up Urban Legend, right? Like, we all saw that movie. That killer was a big dude. He's like 6'4", size 11 boot, and then they reveal it's the girl. It's like that was not the stunt double. It's like he pulled a fast one, on us, so by being able to attack the movie so effectively with what the movie's giving us, right? And like he said, like he could have gotten into like more of the criminal law stuff, into how split personalities actually work. But even if we just take for a given, okay, they have to have this emergency meeting. Okay, this is how you deal with split personality. The movie's own logic starts to fall apart the more you look at it. What are you guys thinking?
When the second that it's revealed that it's a kid, it reminded me of the series finale of St. Elsewhere, where they reveal that the entire hospital is actually in a snow globe that a learning developed child has been shaking for 6 years. It's one of those things where it's like, as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, you fucking kidding me? Oh my god! But up until that point, it is.
Well, unfortunately for the movie, that point is like at the end. Like it's like one of the last things you see, right?
But I mean, the thing is, the movie's dumb, but it's sufficiently entertaining. It looks great, as most James Mangold films do, and I was really surprised to learn that it was shot on a soundstage, because it really feels like they're in a torrential rainstorm. And
is that true? Really?
Yeah, we're shot on a
Oh wow! I thought they
shot Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's amazing. I would have guessed that they just found like an old abandoned motel and filmed the movie there. Yeah, wow.
And so that was
and only went out when it was raining.
Ben?
Well, you could get big rain machines.
Outside, yeah, in a stage you can, not outside.
You can make it rain outside.
Make it rain.
That's usually where it rains, Ben.
No, but not on cue. Not when you have to like film a whole movie. No, I'm kind of where you guys are at. I love the cast. I love basically everyone in it. And Amanda Pete, where did you go? You were such an it girl, and then you just kind of disappeared.
Again.
Yeah, I miss you, Amanda Pete. And John Cusack, of course, great. I see where it does stop. Like it is smart enough to get you to a point, and then as you like start thinking about it and nitpicking, like it gets you through like maybe a rewatch. But like past that, like all you can start seeing is like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't work. So I do see the strength in Maynard's argument there. Although I would argue the kid on some level knows that he is a personality and he is therefore able to manipulate this world.
Opens up a can of worms the movie's not prepared to deal with, though. And I would push back on.
But there's enough mystery there where they can allow that, I think, because they don't,
Maybe I would push back on nitpicking, because a lot of Maynard's case was dealing with things that we were actually seeing in the movie.
Yeah, but you don't pick up on a first watch, like as you're being fed.
No. But like I feel like nitpicking could be a bit more pedantic. Like this is like the writers actually put this stuff in thinking they were smart and they were going to pull a fast one on us, and they were just kind of cheating and cutting corners.
I just wish that when it was in theaters, I saw it, but at the time, again, I was a total puss, so I didn't. And by the time it was out on DVD, and I was working at Blockbuster, I knew the ending, so I was like, well, why the fuck do I care?
Did you punch that guy that spoiled it for Maynard when you were there?
I punched him right in his stupid goatee. But
because we know he had a goatee.
It would have worked a lot better had I not known the ending, because knowing that really does call into question literally every single thing that you're being shown.
Yeah.
And it does, breadcrumbing is a good way of putting it, but it's almost like just slices of bread. There's no breadcrumbs. It's just like putting a whole loaf down and saying, come here, follow this.
Yeah, because I guess the first time you watch it, you're probably supposed to think that Busey is the murderer they're talking about that's being transported, but you kind of realize like that falls apart pretty quickly. But oh my god, though, another good point.
Teeth, he could chew people to death.
I know, right? Well, that's the other thing too. That bat's not getting past those teeth. Here's the other thing too. I thought the good point about Alfred Molina's character and just the whole concept of this treatment. First of all, I don't think the timeline really works, because if he is being treated for multiple personalities, the court already would know this seemingly, because Alfred Molina is talking to the lawyers. Then the journal's found, but he's already being treated for multiple personalities. So, like, does the journal just prove it more? Like it's a weird. It's a weird contrivance, and if you start thinking about the timeline, it's just I don't think it particularly.
I'd have to watch it again. There may be a throwaway.
Yeah, like I don't think it adds up, because I mean Alfred Molina knows all the personalities. Like he's been talking to them and administering therapy, and somehow they don't actually explain how he sets up this encounter. Like, that would have been interesting information to have. And then again, another point.
Actually, the people on the table there doing the jury thing, they were the personalities, and the hotel is real, man. They just flipped it in the last minute.
That would be something. No, but like, how did this get set up, and why on earth would you think that the most benign personality would somehow survive? You know, and Maynard didn't say this, but since we're riffing, any one of those personalities really struck me as capable of murder. Like, I don't know if the four murders.
That's by design.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing, though. Like, which of the four? Like, was the boy?
I was rooting for Amanda Peet to be the killer the first time I saw it. Now, of course, now I knew it.
Here's the question, though. So, was the boy there's four murders in real life that the big guy is arrested for? Were all four done by Timmy? Because one could have been done by Ray Liotta real easy. One could have been
that would have been interesting. That would have been interesting.
If he popped off on a prostitute, that could have been the hotel owner guy, the guy who was pretending to be the hotel owner. That's my point. It's just you're playing like Russian roulette with like a loaded gun. You know what I mean? It's like,
and then, do you condemn one personality that's not a murderer when like the other 13 are? That'd be fun.
I mean, yeah, but like that's like.
That's Murder on the Orient Express, where they all hold hands and start stabbing the guy.
Yeah.
And well,
that's too far, though. That's too far. I think we should start getting
if Alfred Molina knew for a fact which personality he wanted to survive, and he was trying to rig the game that way, but like he just threw them all into a hotel and shook it up. You know what I mean? It's like, that was a terrible idea.
Like
all right,
snow globe.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't have the time. I have such a fun time with this movie. I love the cast. I love the twist. I even like the second twist, even though you can kind of maybe see it coming. Not guilty for me, and I want bread loafing to be one of our new catchphrases.
Bread loafing. Okay, I'll get the t-shirts
Dylan
mocked up. This is one that I enjoy, but just thinking about it this much and listening to Maynard's case, I have to respect the argumentation today, and I have to accept the fact this is probably just a bad movie that I enjoy. I don't know when I'll watch it again, but I could definitely see watching it again. But today, based on the arguments presented, this is going to be a guilty from me.
Yeah, Maynard attacked this with such ferocity that I was amazed to learn that he actually loves this movie. that argumentation, that did not feel like you loved it at any moment whatsoever. So well done, sir.
He's a complicated man.
If you want to see this again, do Titan AE. I had to destroy that movie, and I'm not happy about it. Still not.
I had a good time with this movie, and so I'm inclined to vote not guilty just because I enjoyed it. And I'm glad that Kandice is here, because it's always fun when Kandice is here. But there's such venom behind Rob's case.
Do we want to reward venom?
I do. I want more mean cases. The meaner you guys are, the more I'll vote for you.
So let's go tell that very handsome judge.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of the People vs. Identity, we find the defendant guilty of being a bad movie.
Kill what you love.
I know!
The verdict is so rendered, but good news, I have a personality that will not remember this, so I don't have to sit through it again. Court is adjourned.
I feel like I personally let Maynard down.
He'll have thoughts, I'm sure. Man, this is Johnny Manicotti and
oh my god, I wanted Johnny Manicotti.
That's right. You guys didn't know this, but I also have multiple personalities. That's right, and I reported to you live outside the Wheels of Justice. Well, I would like to hear from Maynard Bangs. How do you feel about the jury's verdict?
Well, guy who's tried aphrodisiacs in the past, you always hurt the ones you love. I love this movie. I would have described this as like a top 10 movie for me before this case, and then I had to close watch it, and then I had to think of bad things about it, and it turns out I'm good at that, and there were bad things I could say. But the cast is amazing. I love Clea Duvall. Please don't hate me, Clea. And yeah, I might even appeals this one and try to turn this one back around even on myself if I have to. But
appealing your own case?
I know it's against the rules, but Ben does it all the time. So
he's taking another crack at Final Fantasy. All right.
If he can, I can.
Would I please get your thoughts on the verdict?
I take personal responsibility today. I think I had a job to uphold justice, and I let down my client. I let down the American people. I let down...
They're used to it.
I let down everyone, because this movie, as I said in my opening statements, is a gem that has been forgotten, but is not bad.
We've reminded everyone, if anything else.
Thank you. Oh, my God, guys. Oh, I kind of blacked out there for a second. That's all we have from the courthouse today. Let's go back to the studio for post-trial analysis.
Were you a goat man there for a second?
I was for a minute. Yeah, but Johnny Manicotti is a man of magnitudes or multitudes.
That is true. I had to listen to an episode to remember Johnny Manicotti's voice, because one of the ones I wanted to do was to pop in and go, hey, and why doesn't Johnny Manicotti get to do interviews anymore? And then you did it. So we were literally on the same page.
I don't know.
Sorry, what was that, Ryan?
I'm really glad that Dylan pulled that poker right out of the fire.
He did. Pulled that poker right out of his poker.
Oh, you'll have to subscribe to our Patreon if you want to see the behind the scenes that leads to that inside joke.
But no, Candice, great job. And yeah, I like this movie too. I think you gotta take it on a more surface level. But yeah, the performances are great, and it is clever if you don't think about it too much.
Yeah, I did have a hard time. There were a lot of arguments you brought up where I'm like, I could actually yes and that, but I'm not going to.
I ended up doing it for the cast, though. I was like, and Claire Duvall!
Yes. I know. When you did that, I was like, I didn't know we could do that. I should have done this.
You're not supposed to, and I'm bad at this. But excellent, and I hope everyone does rewatch the movie. Watch it and make up your own mind. We totally ruined it for you, but like I told you, I already knew the ending before, and that's what piqued my curiosity.
By now. Yeah.
You know what I do genuinely really mean when I've said it is, I know as someone that's a writer, especially writing horror or suspense thriller or anything like that, people are so ahead of it in terms of the twist, and they're looking for a good twist, that it's really, really hard to write one. And so the fact that this movie did, in my opinion, let the audience get ahead of it with a few of them, like they're kind of playing with you, and you're kind of supposed to get ahead of it. I was like, that's actually really smart and really clever. And
I'm with you. I thought that was clever. What'd you think about the Knives Out twist?
The Knives Out twist?
Like where they're
in Knives Out. Yes, I like that.
Yeah, I like the twist, and I do think you get on it, but he did get a little screwed by the adaptation movie, because he had already been working on the script, so some people think he cribbed it from adaptation, but he didn't. He was already working on it, and he had seen the movie actually while he was still working on this, and saw them make the joke about the split personality. He was like, oh no, what can I do? It's all hackneyed, but he ended up pushing through with it. Anyway.
It's fine. I mean, I think the movie was received pretty well when it came out, if I remember right.
That guy at Movie Gallery liked it.
A hit.
Yeah. So Candice, what keeps you busy when you're not here? What do you do usually?
What am I doing these days? I'm doing stand-up comedy. I think the most common place you could probably catch me is on a show called Horror Nerd at the Hollywood Improv.
Nice.
It's all horror-based stand-up. You have to write your set to the theme, which is always about horror.
Oh, cool. I would probably do well at that.
Is it specific horror, or is it like, do they give you like Child's Play or something? You have to go off that?
It's always a theme, so it'll be like killer couples or like...
oh, okay.
Yeah, or like religious horror, things like that. You have to write your set about that.
Nice.
Easy.
I was just imagining like Freddy Krueger doing steps. Like,
have you ever noticed that cheerleaders always run like this? You know?
My friend Kelly McInerney just did it as because you can do characters if you want. She just did, I forgot what the theme was, but she was possessed Reagan.
Nice. Ronald Reagan, right?
Yes.
That would be the bit.
I mean, that would be much scarier in my opinion, but but yeah.
Well. Or his head is turning around while he's doing that. What night is that if people want to get to that live?
It's different times.
Oh, fudge.
I know, but
how do they find out? Is there a
you can
social
follow
media?
Yeah, Horror Nerd. It's just at Horror Nerd on Instagram, and they'll
you got Horror Nerd. Wow, you
yeah.
must have gotten on there early, or you bought it from someone.
Good SEO right there.
Let me double check and make sure I have that.
And maybe your social media too, for the people to keep track of what you're doing. Unless you don't give it out with like Ben here, I understand.
Oh, I stand corrected. It is Horror Nerd Comedy.
Dang, someone got Horror Nerd before them. I knew it.
Yeah, we just
me. That's why I know, because I'm like, I'm at
the numeral one track mind.
Awesome. So we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies that you think people should see. So Candice, what is a movie you think people should see?
This is going to be the most cliche answer at this particular time, but Sinners just came out on streaming.
Yeah.
Number 3, or 3 or 4.
Three.
Ben.
Three.
This is our third recommendation of it.
I'm sure.
Congrats.
As soon as I said it, I was like, I'm sure they've heard this.
That's
No,
a good
no, no,
thing.
let
That's a
us
good
know.
thing. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
he already has the poster made. It's great.
Oh, perfect.
No, because then it's people agreeing. So that's consensus. So what makes you like it so much?
Oh my God, I've seen it twice. I've right in this day and age, I haven't seen anything like it. I left the movie just like I can't find a single flaw in the movie. Like if we tried to do this
Don't
with
send
that,
me.
I would really struggle.
What about that it ended?
That it ended. Period. I guess that's a flaw. Yeah, I guess that's bad. But but yeah, that movie. I just think it holds up so well.
I just think it's neat, huh?
I mean,
yeah, but it's great that third, having you be the third person to give your vote of confidence for it, because I don't even know, movies don't tend to get 3. We have a few doubles, but it's rarefied air for a movie to get third, and
Especially a new one too.
We have done 3, but it's like spread out like a long ways. I want to think. I bet if we check, we would find. But
I'm sure, but like never for like a new movie.
It's quite rarefied. This is probably the most frequent within a time frame for sure.
And actually, Thunderbolts is already at like
Thunderbolts has already got
right?
2 as well, so it could catch up as long as. Which is why my recommendation is Thunderbolts.
No!
No, my recommendation for fans of today's film, I give you another 2000s era thriller with a twist. 2001's Frailty.
Fantastic.
Starring Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey. 2 brothers are raised by their religious fanatic father who believes he's been chosen by God to destroy demons who disguise themselves as people. Surprising at least Schlenzo D, I had never seen this film before my recent viewing. Maybe
really
because,
did surprise me.
maybe because the title is so vague and generic. If they called it Bill Paxton Goes Nuts and Kills Everyone with an Axe Named Otis, we'd probably be looking at an all-time box office smash. McConaughey completely breaks out of the comfort zone of his normal all right shtick to deliver a great performance. Listeners who think he's only capable of that one speed should check this film out because it shows he's actually been doing this on purpose all this time. Not fair, Maddie. But Bill Paxton is the real standout. I was a huge fan of when he went nuts and started killing everyone with an axe named Otis. I'd have to see how much I'd enjoy it upon a rewatch, the ultimate litmus test for any film with a surprise in store. But I'd say it's at least worth one watch, especially considering you can currently stream it for free on Tubi.
Hey!
Mention who directed the movie, man.
Yes, who directed the movie, Ryan?
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, Ryan.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I never read the credits. Hardly ever paying attention. I don't think I actually wasn't paying attention.
Movie minimizes
to
it
the
in a
movie at
little
all.
tiny square you can't even see by then.
I'm always doom scrolling until about 10 minutes in. It wasn't until Bill Paxton said he was going to kill everyone with an axe I started paying attention.
I was so shocked that you had never seen this, man. I'm like, it is so in your wheelhouse.
The title's
It is
bad.
the real.
It's a bad title.
It was enough of a non-puss to see this in theaters.
Wow.
This one?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
All right. Nice.
Well, you
And
just
you
want to
liked
see
it?
Powers Booth on the big screen.
Yes.
Oh, I almost did. Yeah, I missed that.
Big Booth. Who was the judge? I can't even
Big
remember.
Booth?
I am.
It was Big Ben.
Go, Ben.
My recommendation is a horror/thriller from this year, A24's Bring Her Back. From the same directing team that brought you Talk to Me, this film I think I can say is way more intense and dark. For me in all the right ways. But if themes like child abuse and losing a child and gaslighting are traumatic for you, perhaps all the wrong ones, but because it isn't shy about exploring those darker themes and making you sit in that discomfort for the majority of its runtime at all. But fantastic performances by Sally Hawkins and newbies Sora Wong and Billy Barrett. I think that the thing that I enjoyed most is actually it's kind of rare for me when I'm watching these movies. I wasn't sure where it was going at all. I was never lost. I was just unsure of what the destination was going to be. And they skillfully make you feel that dread throughout, as any good horror should. And I won't spoil what eventually does happen for the characters, or what supernatural forces are at play. But I will say I'm not completely sure that they cover all the bases and that it all makes sense, maybe somewhat like Identity. But what they don't hit you over the head with in explanations only adds to the eeriness, in my opinion, and the desire to see it again if it all makes sense in your second watch. Might need to see it again to be sure, but for now, I think I'm okay adding it to my heap of this year's Gentleman's Eights, like Sinners and Companion. So an interesting year for horror so far.
Been a great year for horror. Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think you should revisit Talk to Me, because it was very brutal too, especially in some of the child violences I remember. But it really never pulled any punches. So
no, it didn't.
See the new one. Did you see this yet, Candice?
I have not. My boyfriend went and saw it, and he came home like traumatized.
You should be mad.
It's intense. It's intense and dark. Yeah, it really is.
I have, even though I love horror, I have a hard time with like brutality, like when something's really, really brutal. So I always do this when a movie like this comes out, where I'll send my boyfriend to see it first. And I'm like,
but does he have to see it again with you?
Oh yeah, then if
okay. So he reconnoiters it.
Yeah, if he likes it, he has to go see it again. Which he
I'm gonna go watch Lilo and Stitch. Have fun in there.
I don't know if your boyfriend's gonna listen to this, but if I was him, I would go to a different movie first when you sent me, and just not tell you, and then just see it with you later. And
oh yeah, it's fine, and then oh shoot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what kind of a splatter one that was kind of brutal. In a Violent Nature was relatively violent.
I actually like that one. I've seen that. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. For some reason, that one, it doesn't bother me. But he knows me well enough. And the thing is, he would never do that because he's the one that would suffer if he did that.
Yes.
I get so mad. So
good. That's why he's the boyfriend. And
why we are single over here.
He knows how to keep the job, you see.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
I forgot where I was going with that train of thought. Doesn't matter.
All right, there we go. Schlenzo, what have you got for us? Something very violent and splattery?
Well, let me tell you, my movie will tease you. It will unease you just to please you because it has Bette Davis eyes. That's right. I'm recommending 1980s Watcher in the Woods. Believe it or not, this comes from Disney. And they really stretched their legs with this family horror feature. That's right. A family horror feature. A perfect family moves into an English countryside estate and a haunting ensues. But all is not as it seems, as some of the local denizens may be harboring deep secrets. Look, I have to say, it is refreshing to watch a legitimately atmospheric, scary movie that is not afraid to take its time, and it colors inside the lines. Family friendly, but scary, is a hard line to walk. But this one nails it. Because let me tell you something. Raising kids in America, it's a hell of a thing these days. They all want to watch scary movies. But so many of them have smut. But not this one. Amazingly, probably due to the lack of smut, it's not on Disney+. Conceivably, it's only available on the Blu-ray disc. And I don't know if it has commentary. If it does, Ryan, you should do it for One Track Mind. So if you can find it floating around somewhere out there in the aether, because in many ways, if it's streaming nowhere, it's streaming everywhere.
Ryan said it might be on there, though. He directly contradicted you. Said it might be on Disney+.
No, they checked.
No, we
looked.
Oh, those jerks.
Yeah, you were too busy yelling at something unrelated to catch that part.
There was something about Guess Who. Glasses or sunglasses? Sunglasses are glasses.
Okay,
Ryan,
not this.
Ryan, what's your recommendation?
My truck-commendation this week hails from a different time, namely 2 weeks ago, as of this recording. Matt Wolf's 3.5-hour documentary, Pee-wee as Himself. Paul Reubens was one of the key pillars of my childhood, from both Pee-wee's Playhouse, I had the Playhouse, and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I didn't have the bike. And when he died of cancer 2 years ago, it absolutely gutted me. It feels like yesterday he was talking about the R-rated Pee-wee movie that he was supposedly working on, but now we'll never really know. I felt emotionally drained by this large-scope work and began sobbing when the audience at the MTV VMAs jumped to their feet and cheered when he came on stage pre-show after his humiliating experience in a Sarasota adult film theater. To see one of your childhood heroes stumble and get back up with the support of adoring fans weirdos and connoisseurs of pop art, I'm getting emotional thinking about it right now. This is no hagiography. It covers the absolute lowest moments, and each one feels like a punch in the throat. Pee-wee as himself is currently streaming on what will soon become HBO Max once more.
We're back to the max.
I'm glad they gave that gimmick up.
I wholeheartedly second everything you just said, Ryan.
Oh,
Nice.
Awesome.
everyone does.
Nice.
Ryan nails it every time.
Yes, so good, and love Paul Rubens.
Yeah, I know. I saw some stuff about Phil Hartman's interview in that too, and it was like,
Oh, no!
And he calls him a deviant at one point, and it's so disrupting. Oh my
yeah.
God.
So so Hartman is getting a little bit of posthumous flack for that interview now because of that documentary.
How dare they? Hartman is a saint, and I'm on Team Hartman. Then I'm sorry, the division lines have been drawn.
Everyone in that theater was masturbating. And with that, we are all at a show. We want to thank our guest, Kandice Martellaro, for joining us. Thank you so much, Kandice.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
We're going to have you back, or one of your various personalities. We'll see. And we hope everyone else will join us again then as well, as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Count it.
Raining in a soundstage? What?
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.